All right, well, I'd like to officially welcome everybody to High Tech Live, featuring Sangeeta Rai. She is the Vice President of Technology Customer Success at Northwestern Mutual. Welcome, Sangeeta. Before we get started, I want to just welcome everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Viviana Costa. I'm the Executive Director of High Tech, and I want to welcome all of you for participating today and for joining us. I believe that we've got a lot of newcomers and new faces, especially from the Northwestern Mutual family. So welcome all of you for being here. Thank you so, so much. You guys are representing very well today. So thank you for being here. Today we're going to be talking about stepping stones, paving the way for a diverse and inclusive workforce. We know that the gender and racial gap in tech is significant. This is not new. And today our presenter, Sangeeta, is going to share with us her experience and journey in technology. And she's gonna share how she overcame some of the daunting odds in becoming a senior tech leader in a prominent financial service company. She's gonna talk to us about finding hope. She's gonna talk to us about seizing the moment and owning your privilege. So friends, pay attention because she has a bag of gems that she's gonna share with us today. Not only do I want you to pay attention, but this is gonna be interactive. So interaction here is key. And so don't make me call you out because I will, all of you. A little bit about Sangeeta. She is a leader and an advocate. She leads an award-winning global tech customer success team at Northwestern Mutual, where she is passionate about customer happiness and pushes her team to consistently raise the bar for customer service. As a leader, her focus has effectively been mentoring and elevating all members of her organization. She is also the executive sponsor for Women in Tech at Northwestern Mutual, committed to moving the gender diversity needle in tech towards 50-50. She's led the first ever Women in Tech conference, a group mentoring program for women, and speed coaching events to elevate women and push diversity and inclusion. So thank you, Sangeeta, for your work in that space. And fun fact, Sangeeta and her family love to travel, and they have been to all continents except for one, I think Antarctica, if I remember correctly. And they've traveled to 47 states across the US. That's amazing. So Sangeeta, with that, I turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
All right. Thank you, Viviana. I'm so happy to see you all and your smiling faces here. So like Viviana said, this is casual. Please participate, ask questions. I'm going to be pausing in certain points during the presentation where I'll ask for your feedback, your lessons learned in your journey, and don't make Viviana call you out, so please jump in, all right? Okay, so today I want to talk to you about diversity and leadership. Why diversity matters, and how your leadership can help improve diversity. Even the smallest change can make a difference. Even the smallest action can have an impact. People inspire me every day to be the best that I can be. I hope today to inspire you to improve diversity at your organization, not only because diversity leads to better products and services, but because this is a chance for you to repay those who helped you by lifting up the next generation. I say diversity is good, but is it? Yes, and there's proof. But first, let's talk about what happens when you don't have a diverse and inclusive workforce. I'd love to see your feedback on chat. What happens when you don't have a diverse and inclusive workforce? Stagnation. Yes, great. Lack of innovation, groupthink, lack of unique perspective. Great. Yes, I see lots of feedback on chat. All right, so lack of diversity leads to bad products and services. Now, as I was researching this, I found tons of examples where they were not creating good products and services because it wasn't built by a diverse team. And the thing is, I couldn't pick, which one to share with you guys. So what I did, what we'll do is we'll have a little poll. There's 4 that I have on here. And what I'd like to do is you tell me what you'd like to hear about. And then if we can't get to the ones that we don't hear about, please research them and research this, because it really opened my eyes and it really helped me think differently. So Viviana, if you don't mind pulling up the poll.
You guys see it?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
All right, I got it right.
Yes, great. So we'll give you a few seconds to pick, and then we'll talk about the top two.
Keep them coming, guys. The number's creeping up. I like it.
Okay.
All right, has everybody put their poll in? We're gonna close it out. All right, here we go. And I'm gonna share results. Let me know if everyone sees it.
Okay, it looks like algorithmic bias and then bias in automatic safety and design. All right, let me take those. Okay, so every time you step into a vehicle, you're putting your life in the hands of people who made the design and engineering design every feature. So when people making these decisions don't understand your needs, your life is at risk. Historically, automotive product designs and development was largely defined by men. So in the 60s, what happened was that the vehicular test crash protocol calls for testing with dummies modeled after average male with its height, weight, and stature falling in the 50th percentile. So what this meant was seat belts were designed to be safe for men. And for years, we sold cars that were largely unsafe for women, especially pregnant women. Because of that, the female drivers were 47% more likely to be seriously injured in a car crash. Think about that. So thankfully, this started shifting. And in 2011, the first female crash test dummies were required in safety testing. The other example is Google Translate, right? In Hungarian and in Turkish is another language, and many others, they don't use he, she. So there is only one gender pronoun. So, but it's fascinating when it's fed through Google Translate, the algorithms highlight the biases that are there. So, you know, she is beautiful, he is clever, he understands math, she is kind, he's a doctor, she is a cleaner. You get the picture. Sorry, those were the other examples. So the other thing is that diverse teams perform better, okay? So there's many experiments that have been conducted to prove this theory, and I'll share one. In 2006, there was an experiment conducted on undergraduate students in the University of Illinois. Now, the purpose was to study the impact of racial diversity on small decision-making groups where sharing information was a requirement for success. So they were put in, small 3-person groups, some consisting of all white members, and the others consisting of 2 whites and one non-white member. And they had to perform a murder mystery exercise. So they made sure that all group members shared a common set of information. And also they gave each member important clues that only he or she knew. To find out who committed the murder, the group would have to share information they collectively possessed during the discussion. And the groups with racial diversity significantly outperformed the groups with no racial diversity. Being with people similar to us leads us to think that we hold the same information and share the same perspective. Now, this perspective is which stop the all white groups from efficiently processing the information. And this is what hinders creativity and innovation. Now, simply interacting with people who have different forces helps group members to to prepare better and to anticipate alternative viewpoints. And I have a lot of work examples to prove that as well. I'll share a few. At Northwestern Mutual, we have a number of enterprise resource groups, or ERGs, that helps us build more inclusive products. So one example that I'll give you is from Pride ERG. So there was a person from our team that transitioned from male to female, and some of the data in our systems was incorrect, right? So the old name of the person was showing up in some places, and it was extremely frustrating for that person. And it was very confusing for us because we kept seeing two different names. And this particular issue helped us recognize that we need a single source of truth in certain areas, and it helped her, and it helps everybody else with the same name change. Now, then the other example I'll give you is our disability ERG. They work very closely with our design team on usability designs. So they are making our products better. So really working with people who are different from you definitely challenges your brain to overcome its stale ways of thinking. I think somebody mentioned that, and sharpen its performance as well. So I'd like to hear from you, maybe one example of somebody, I'd love to hear one of you speak up and talk about one example where diversity has improved your teams perform better.
Come on, guys, don't be shy. Anyone?
I think of examples of, and not so much of cultural, but generational differences. Mm-hmm. A lot of my team was much younger. So when there was holidays, school holidays, we would schedule things, then not realizing that some of the older team members couldn't attend those meetings. So just realizing that working with different people in different stages of their life, that diversity is very important. Just, and vice versa, there would be things that younger generations had already planned that, other generations would be like, why are we doing it this way? So it allowed for a different form of communication to take place.
Yeah, love the example. Thank you. And it just reminded me, some ways that I learn is through reverse mentoring as well. And I do have some team members that are just from the younger generation. Actually, in fact, my 16-year-old daughter teaches me a lot as well. And in addition to the younger generation at work. So great point, and thank you. Okay, so this is a statistics that I'd like to share. I mean, this is one, female representation in top management leads to an increase of 42 million in firm value. Now that's one stat, right? So there's so many available which show that enriching your employee pool with representation from different genders, races, and nationalities is key for boosting our company's joint intellectual potential. And creating a more diverse workplace will help keep our team members' biases in check and make them question their assumptions as well. So now let's talk about some stats around diversity in tech. So if we look from left to right, as you see from the numbers, 1 in 4 people are women in technology. Even with these low numbers, the number of diverse women, specifically Black and Latin women, is extremely low. It's 3% and 2%. And if you look at the leadership side of things, hardly any women leaders as well, just under 20%. And now we'll move on to some statistics for people of color. Now, looking at these statistics, you will see a lack of diversity in people of color in leadership as well. With a certain percentage of the group, like Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous population is 16%, and Asians is 14%. And from the leadership perspective, we have white people are represented at 83%. So these statistics are really, terrible, and it's something we must do. So wherever you are on the statistics, you have beaten the odds. You are here in technology. You are here and you have a privilege. What this means is that we have a privilege and we have to own that privilege. Kind of like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Being a leader or an influencer in tech is about what you do with that privilege in the role that you hold. As leaders, especially, we're taking this responsibility for the development and care of somebody else's experience. So helping with their career growth and also building an inclusive team is a part of that. By showing that we understand our privilege and how we use it to make our organizations more equitable, we will help create that space that not only embraces change, but also helps us pave the way for the future generation that we have a responsibility towards. I'll share how leaders and allies have helped me in my own journey. So I came to the US 20 years ago from India. I was in my early 20s. I had just finished my MBA and I had dreams of becoming an ad executive. So when I came here, I realized that for an immigrant from India, the big opportunities were in technology. But there were a few problems, right? First, I had no background in technology. In fact, I had barely used a computer before. Second, I had no education in the US and I had no contacts. And third, I went to an all-girls school all my life, except for my 2 years of MBA. And, tech is the male-dominated field. So I was in New York City trying to make it in a new field, and I didn't even know what a bagel was. So today, I'm a leader in tech at a prominent financial services company. Although I've worked really hard, I'm grateful for all of the allies who helped me get here. So one example that I'll give you is one of the first leadership roles that I had. One of the men on the team told me, this is true, he told me that I was not qualified to be his leader. And he refused to work for me. And another one on the same team repeatedly berated me, right? So fortunately, I had the courage to stand up for myself, and I had great allies. My boss was a great ally, and my colleagues in human resources, they stood by my side and they helped me remove these bad actors for their unacceptable behavior. And I was able to continue my journey. Every one of us here has had allies who have helped them. So now it's our turn to do the same for those that come after us, for someone else. Now, the first step to doing that is to figure out our why, who we are and who we want to be. Soul searching, right? So soul searching is this idea of taking a step back with this aim of examining where we are finding meaning in life and where our life is headed. We spoke about diversity is important from a professional angle. So now I want to talk a little bit about why being a diversity champion is important personally. Now, I did some soul searching myself, and I would like to share why it's important to me. And I'd love to hear from you. And this time, more than one person, I would love to hear from a few of you as well. So, this is way back, but my understanding of a woman's role in the workplace began with my mom's own storytelling to me across our kitchen table. She grew up in a small town in India, and she lived most of her adult life in the United Arab Emirates. In her 30s, she started working for a global money exchange center as a cashier. Now, she eventually became the first woman to lead a branch, but by the time she retired, she was leading the company's busiest branch. But despite her delivering better results than her peers, my mom was never meaningfully promoted. And she saw men all around her advancing in the company, but her career stood still. So every time I take the time to reflect on my mom's professional experience, my resolve to change the work world grows. So I am convinced that my mom would have been in the C-suite if her growth was not limited to the societal norms for women at her time. I'm sure that many of you can relate to this story. Many of you can relate to my mom's story. Her story and countless others like her are the reasons I'm so eager to foster conversations about what we can do to remove the limitations that hold women and people of color back. Look, I can't help my mom advance in her career. She is now happily retired. But my 16-year-old daughter and my 13-year-old son will grow up and join the working world soon. We want work to be easier for those who come after us. We must help create a better work world for all the women and the people of color in our lives. Our colleagues, our daughters, our sons, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins, our neighbors, and so on. Because when we do, we will help solve one of the longest standing issues within our society. Now, speaking of making it easier for those that come after us and allies, one other example that I want to give you is that picture on the earlier slide. You know, we were wearing ethnic clothes in that picture, and Northwestern Mutual had asked me to write an article for Women's Day, and they asked me, hey, can you give me the latest picture of your family? Because the story was about limitless workplaces for women, and I was talking about my mom's experience. And I gave and that was the last one that I had because I haven't seen my family in a while. And so I gave it, and then I started freaking out. I said, okay, Northwestern Mutual has never put a picture of people, at least I've not seen a picture of people in their ethnic clothes on our company's LinkedIn, LinkedIn page. And then I said, oh, what if people see me like this? Because what happens is a lot of times we leave our authentic selves at home to fit into work. And this is something women do. This is something that people of color do as well. And then I talked to my boss, Neil Sample, who is one of my greatest allies and one of the greatest allies for people of color within our organization as well. And I talked to him and I said, Neil, I don't know if I should do this. And he said, okay, do you think this matters to me? I said, if you wear a sari or whatever you're wearing, with how I look at you from your professional expertise perspective. And I said, no. He said, okay. And he said, say 2 years down the line, you apply to another company and they looked at your LinkedIn post and they say, I don't want to hire this woman because she is wearing a sari. Would you want to work for a company like that? And I said, no. And then he said, okay, then your decision is easy. So, Neil made an impact on my life. And then when you create a difference in someone's life, you not only impact their life, you impact everyone influenced by them throughout their entire lifetime. So because I bring my authentic self to work, I have a lot of women and a lot of people of color telling me that it's inspiring them to do the same as well. So by bringing our authentic selves to work, by being the leaders that we wish to see, we are encouraging others to be authentic and bring their whole self to work. So I would like to hear from you, a few of you, on how you did your own soul searching and who are some allies that have helped you?
Hit on mute, guys.
Hi, Sangeeta.
Hi.
Suri from Schneider Electric, and I really resonate a lot with what you're talking about. I have two comments. The first one is finding that authentic self. Like for me, one of the really silly things that used to bother me was going to work with big curly hair. I always felt like I wasn't professional if I had a big meeting and I didn't straighten my hair, which today is not a good example because this is straightened. But my hair is naturally humongous, and that's part of who I am. That's part of being Puerto Rican, and I should learn to embrace that better. And I think being part of this high-tech community helps me definitely connect with myself and learn skills like today. And then the second thing is I started doing some support for my company with their government relations team. And one of the reasons why I get brought into a lot of C-level meetings is because they are looking for that human connection when they are lobbying to government officials, not only for sustainability, right? We want the government officials to support XYZ policies, but it's much easier, like you said, when you can connect to someone personally. If like today, I was meeting with a representative and I can tell them, oh yeah, I used to get food stamps from the Tooth Fairy too, from back in the Bronx. And we can relate on something that's very authentic and personal to our culture. Being able to sit across the table and have empanadas or share something with your family.
like you said, it's what builds that personal relationship with a government official that also grows our business and helps those policies, helps us build champions and get those policies across that support many of our companies. So I totally agree with everything you're saying. And thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing as well. I mean, I think it also humanizes you in addition to having those authentic conversations. So great one. Anyone else? All right.
Oh, hey, Sangeetha, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Oh, you know what? We have too many options in terms of like camera angles and stuff like that. So I'm actually the I look at Sangeetha as somebody who has given me a lot of opportunities by way of being a very transparent leader, and being somebody who is authentically herself in the things that she does. And it's very inspirational in terms of being able to then bring that same person to the board and to feel comfortable, whether it's being comfortable celebrating a success of mine, which is something that's not normally a strong suit, or owning up to the fact that maybe an approach I've taken wasn't the best approach, but I gave it a shot and I learned from it. But really being able to see some of those lessons that she has been authentically transparent about has been really rewarding in my own personal growth. And so I want to say that it's been a privilege to have that, and something I'm tremendously grateful for.
Thank you, Annie. And Annie is the leader for our Generation ZRG, and she's teaching us a lot about how to work with each other from the generational perspective as well. So thank you. Okay, so moving on. So, we talked about soul searching. Here are some questions that you can ask yourselves to help you with your own soul searching and identify what's important to you. Now, self-reflection. Here are some questions to help you figure out where you'd like to first focus and how you'd like to be remembered, right? So how many of you have done the funeral exercise or the retirement exercise? I'd love to see it on chat. Okay, I have not. I have. See more. Okay. So it seems like a mix, right? So now both of these are useful in helping you begin with the end in mind, right? Knowing who you want to be. So two books that I would recommend for you. First one is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the second one is Fred Kaufman's Conscious Business. I'll repeat them again. So the first one is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the second one is Fred Kaufman's Conscious Business. And both of these will help you with your brand, and it'll also help you build your own personal mission statement. So we talked about self-reflection. Let's talk about external perspectives. Sometimes I think, I'm for sure, you're your own worst critic, right? So I think it's good if you can ask your own coworkers and friends to be candid with you on what you are good at. That is also helpful. And you can also network or ask your mentors to explore areas where they have been making a difference and ask them to explore with you. So I wanted to just pause here and see if anyone wants to share how they've been soul searching, or how, any tips that they'd like to give, or any book suggestions. I'd like to see the book suggestions on chat actually, but I'd like to see if anyone else has done some soul searching and would like to share.
Hi, my name is Kristen Lamoureux, and a very simple exercise that made a huge difference for me personally and professionally was thinking through my network in terms of concentric circles. The family and absolute best friends, the ones that we can look at each other and burst out laughing at the private jokes that we have. Those are that at the center. The next level out, work colleagues that I'm close with, have good relationships with, social friends, and then further out might be vendors that I partner with, a bit distant, more distant coworkers. But asking 5 people from each of those 3 groups, please describe me in 5 words and then 2 sentences. And then seeing what you get back, because the patterns are where your answers are. You know, for me, all 15 people use the word energy when describing me. So I knew that for me personally, LinkedIn, resume, you know, and then also with my business, part of our brand needed to be energy. You know, but where the heartstrings really got pulled were with those two sentences. Because it's one thing just to have some adjectives, but to have somebody say, I know I can trust you with my secrets. I know, you know, you're always generous with your time. You're like, oh my God, these are beautiful. Yeah. And so when you need that, and again, some of it, you dropped the ball over here on this thing, you know, it's real feedback. It was incredibly easy to do and incredibly hard to do. And it was joyfully rewarding. I would recommend everybody just ask.
Love it. Thank you, Christina. I was actually taking notes as you were talking, so thank you for sharing as well. Okay. So where do you go once you understand your privilege and where you want to give back? What's next, right? Two things. One, carpe diem, seize the moments. And number two, find the hope that holds you back. It's important for us to seize the moments and not let perfect be the enemy of the good. My boss always says that, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. It's not the big moves that define our lives, it's the smallest ones. And perfection can be a good thing. After all, that drive can push people to do great things, but it has a dark side also, right? So the challenge of perfection is that it can intimidate people so they don't even start. So think about it. You know, many of you are, you know, software developers. Instead of ironing out every last bug, you release your beta, right? Instead of looking at, you know, if you're in product, instead of adding every conceivable improvement and feature, we ship the product and then we release improvements later. Now health and working out. I mean, this is something that's near and dear to me. So instead of finding the right gym or the right outfit or the right workout, just go for a walk, start there, and then you can find whatever works for you. Just do something. So I would say use that same lens on diversity. If you have ideas, use the same approach, just pick something and go with it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll share some initiatives that we did at Northwestern Mutual last year. But before I do that, I do want to share another book recommendation for you all that helped me just kind of when I read it, I was like, okay, I need to get started now, go, right? It just helped me with that mindset. So I would say 5 Second Rule. It's a motivational book to get things done. It's by Mel Gibbons. So 5 Second Rule by Mel Gibbons. And I would love to see, you know, if you have any motivational books that help people get started, I would love to see those on chat as well. So we had a number of initiatives within diversity, actually a number of diversity initiatives within Northwestern Mutual last year. Now, I can't put everything up here. So what I did, I mean, it's a lot. So what I did here though, was I put up what I was personally involved in, and they all had common themes. The first one is, you know, first time ever at Northwestern Mutual. The second thing, they were all under budget. And the third thing, they exceeded goals and expectations. So now with that, just again, first time ever, under budget, they exceeded the goals and expectations of leaders as well as myself and the team as well. So we'll do a poll again. And what I would like to do is please pick what you'd like to hear about, and we'll pick the top 2. So, okay, there you go. Give a few minutes, a few seconds. Viviana, let us know whenever.
Almost there. I still see it creeping up.
Okay.
Okay. We'll give it a countdown. Closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, let's see.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so Women in Tech Conference and, so D&I Moments and the Women in Tech Conference. All right.
All right.
Okay, so I'll talk about the Women in Tech Conference first. Okay. So Northwestern Mutual, we held our first ever Women in Tech Conference last December. Grace Hopper is a conference that we normally go to, and it was going virtual. And working women were impacted. We were looking at the numbers, most by the pandemic. The working women were being most impacted by the pandemic. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to give back and we wanted to do something. So this was, again, a conversation between my boss, Neil, and myself. And we said, how about we just have our own conference and it's free for everyone, internal and external, and we would give female speakers the opportunity. So our conference had 97% female speakers, right? So we said, we'll give them the opportunity. It was done. It was very quick. It was done in 3 months and within the budget that we had for Grace Hopper. And also, our initial target was 600 internal people within the company and 600 external. And then we thought, we'll see how it goes. And then it worked out really, really well. It was a huge success. We had 2,500 registrants, 50-50, both 50-50 internal and external. And we had, when we did a post survey, we had a 97% overall rating of, how overall positive performance rating. So there were attendees from Google, Apple, LinkedIn, IBM, Dell, tons of different companies. We also had presenters from Dell, HP, Verizon Media, MLB. So it was a great collaborative effort, as well as, we had one day, it was 50 speakers, 25 sessions, and 25 companies. And we had none other than Laila Ali, who was our keynote, and she talked to us about what boxing and women in tech have in common. So it was a really good conference. And I'd like to pause here. Maybe you can answer a question. Any questions you have on the conference specifically and how we went about it?
Are you going to do it again?
Yes, we are. It was really successful, and we and the women in external and internal got a lot out of it. So definitely we're going to do this again.
Was that a keynote recorded? I love to see that.
I think, all of our sessions are recorded. I believe the keynote from Lila, it was available internally, but we couldn't share that externally. But we can take that as an action to check out. But the other sessions were recorded and we sent out links, but we can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you quickly talk about?
Yeah, sorry.
I just had a quick question. Can you quickly talk about being able to pull off this event? How much convincing or not did it take from the executive leadership team to support this kind of event?
Yeah, so earlier I mentioned we were going to go for Grace Hopper, so it was within budget. I am the executive sponsor for Northwestern Mutual, and my boss, Neil, is the CIO for Northwestern Mutual. So there was really a discussion between him and me. So it wasn't a lot of convincing. It was, this is the right thing to do. We have to elevate women. We have to do something. We have to give back. We have to do something special. So it was just a no-brainer for us. But I do have something I'll share with you. Once I committed to it, what went through my mind, I do have something to show you. Okay, so the next part is D&I moments. So D&I is a big focus at Northwestern Mutual. Now, in addition to hiring, and we are being very intentional and creating opportunities for education and creating a safe space for communication. So one of the things, like Viviana mentioned before, I'm responsible for technology customer success. And so my team is in the forefront. So we want to make sure that we are, our mindset is evolving, we're growing, and we're setting the example for the rest of the company. So about 8 months ago or so, D&I moments were born, right? So what we were thinking about was that everyone is on their own journey and everyone is, open to certain things, not open to certain things. So how do we introduce topics to them and how do we give them the opportunity to learn more? So what we decided was that we will pick a topic every month and then we will I send a weekly note to my team about the topic and about my own personal experiences with that particular topic. And we'll pick very hard topics. And then after that, we will have, I have a monthly town hall. So we pick the topic, I write about it, I tee it up, and then we have our town hall where we spend 10 minutes with a panel and we talk about this hard topic, and then we give them material to learn. So we've picked topics, from gender identity, from sexual orientation, Black history, redlining, about, because we have a certain percentage of our team in India, and I grew up in India, I personally wrote about my own experience with the caste system and the privilege that I had being born into the caste system as well. So just kind of making it relatable, sharing personal stories and how I think about it helps tee it up. And then we have discussions around it also. So in the beginning, what happened was that everyone was like, what are we going to do? Like 10 minutes? Is that going to be enough? But then it ended up being a good starting point for people to learn much more. And so, what they did later was that they introduced it to the rest of the enterprise as something that as something that people could use as a town hall, in their town halls as well, and tee it up the same way. So this became an example for others to use in their within their teams. Any questions on this one?
With the all of the events last year, social unrest, everything going on outside of work, but that probably impacted a lot of people personally. Was this something that you leveraged to have difficult conversations?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we used this and we used some other things to do that. Throughout Northwestern Mutual, we had listening sessions and we had panels and conversations as well. But one of the things that we did within my own area was something called authentic conversations, where we had a small group of people. And everybody has, they come in and everything that you talk about is kind of remains confidential in that group. And then you share and you talk through it as well. I think, one of the things we have to do as leaders is take a very strong stance. And our CEO, John Schlifsky, took a very strong stance about the company that we would like to be. And obviously the senior leadership and then people, at my level and all of us. So yes, we use this as well as other channels. So great question. Thank you. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the initiatives. I'll be candid with you here. And I'll tell you that leading these initiatives wasn't easy, right? We had not done them before at Northwestern Mutual. And I personally had never done them before. But I recognized that if I have to pave the way for others and make a difference, I need to step out of my comfort zone. As you are on this journey, you'll find some things, as you have your ideas, you'll find some doubts and some things in your mind that may hold you back. If you have fear, leverage your fear. If you are afraid of risks, learn to navigate those risks. If you are afraid of failure, accept failures as a lesson. Step out of your comfort zone, because that's how you can make a difference and that's how you can move forward. So this actually is a different topic that I talk about, but I'll give you two practical things. Actually, one is a practical tool that I use, and the second one is a book recommendation as well. So this is a tool that I personally use. It's identifying your rational and irrational thoughts. And as you can see here, the moment I was talking to my boss, Neil, and I said, yes, I'll lead the conference, I had all these irrational thoughts that come up in my mind. So this is a tool that you can use. Think about all the automatic irrational thoughts that come into your mind. Think about what's the behavior of that, and if you listen to those, and think about new rational thoughts that come into your mind, and this will help you move towards where you need to go. So the first thing on here was oh my God, no one is going to register for the conference. Let me tell me like, oh, we're committed, let's cancel. And then I said, okay, let me take a step back. We have a great marketing, communication, PR team, and a great women in tech community. We have access to all these social channels. We will use internal channels. We have access to a great distribution list, and people want to learn, right? Women and our allies want to learn. So no, people will register. And the second thing was, we've never done this before within technology. We'll miss something big. Let me go tell Neil I'm going to cancel this conference. But then I was like, okay, let me take a step back. Northwestern Mutual has had other events. We haven't done something in technology virtually, but this isn't the first conference for our events team. And we'll work with professional vendors that have done this before. So no, we're going to go ahead. And there were many, but I'll just show you one last one. The platform will crash during the conference. Again, I've had to think about it. My rational mind was like, we have used this platform before for other events. We have a solid backup plan if something were to go wrong. And we will have a great team that's available on standby in case there were issues. And so all of these rational thoughts help me help me have a vision. And I also had an amazing, passionate team that we worked closely with, and we were able to deliver a great conference for everybody. So that's one tool that I use. The second thing is a book that really helped me was Failing Forward. It's by John Maxwell. So I would say really read that book. It's a very good book. It talks about failure and how to be comfortable with it. So definitely that's a book recommendation that I would ask for you. So does anybody have any initiatives within their company that they're doing that they would like to share? Don't everybody go at once now.
This is Suri again, I can share. So for Mother's Day on Monday, we at Schneider Electric put together a mom's event, which was pretty cool. Everyone was invited, even if you didn't have kids, but we did breakout rooms, and we kind of had a few questions that we gave everyone to ask. And it was much more of a COVID parenting venting session, but it was awesome because we all dealt with different challenges and had different ways of getting around them. So it was very insightful. And it was great to hear a common theme was not taking risks for fear that you would fail your family, for example, right? For fear that you wouldn't be able to be with the kids in the evening or do the things that you love doing. And I know I definitely have that fear. It took me 9 years before I took the next step in my career. But you feel often alone in your problems. And when you join those events, those, mom day, venting session together, and you find commonality, you realize, no, we're all in this together. And there's always someone like yourself, Sangeeta, like others on this call, who share their challenges, their experiences, and the way they got through it. That helps people like myself say, okay, family, mommy's thinking of getting this job. I really want to do it, but I'm nervous, and it might be hard at first, but I think we can get through it together. And just learning how to have that dialogue with your kids, with your husband, your spouse is helpful.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love that, you're talking about we're all in this together, and building that sense of community and sharing each other's thoughts and ideas really helps us grow as well. So great point. Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a great one to add on behalf of High Tech. First of all, thank you so much for this insight. I just took a big screenshot of rational and irrational thoughts. I am going to poster it all around here all the time, just as a reminder, and hopefully it'll become practice, like it'll become part of the way that I think when I stop myself. But something that High Tech is doing that is really, really exciting for us at our upcoming High Tech Summer Forum, which is June 10th. I hope you've all registered. We are going to be having a panel. The first one ever, where we are looking at Hispanics in tech who are also part of the LGBTQ community. And that intersectionality of the two different demographics within high tech. And we really want to create a safe space and a space of allyship and awareness. So we're really looking forward to this panel. We can't believe we haven't done it before, but we are on it now. And one of the great things I love about high tech is our agility. You bring an idea to the table, which it was brought by one of our members. We grab onto this amazing idea and really run with it. The thought of failure doesn't really cross our mind because we, you know, believe that we're in a community of birds of a feather who will definitely come together for this panel. So we're really looking forward to it and can't wait. Hope you all join.
Thank you, Susanna. I love the safe space and allies. Sorry, somebody else had a thought.
I'm sorry, this is Tahar. I just got off a call with a big customer, and this was equally important, but they were trying to solve this specific problem. They are huge. And so the one thing they were so afraid is that how can they want disruptions, they want the results, but they didn't want to go through the process, and no one wanted to take blame. And I had to, our teams, I'll give them definitely, they are the stronghold and the credit to shape the culture of it's okay to fail as long as you're failing forward. And so having some compensating controls, if you will, to make sure that when you fail forward, you fail safe. And so creating those safe spaces to operate in grace and acceptance, and it's okay. And then having controls in place, whether you're dealing with an event or even in business, having controls in place to say, we will ensure there'll be nothing catastrophic that takes place that tears people down or tears down business, but it will open up for creativity, innovation. And in that, the key underlining foundation is vulnerability. And so this just resonated with me. I got to chime in at the end, but I'm super excited that I caught the tail end of this, and I'm just happy to listen and learn.
Okay, thank you so much. I love that. Well, I love what you said about operating in grace and acceptance and creating that safe space. So thank you. Okay.
I have something to share too, Sangeeta.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, please, go ahead.
Okay, great. This is Susie Platt, also from Northwestern Mutual. I'm lucky that I get to work with Sangeeta. And something that I made a big focus for me this year was to work harder on helping those who really are in marginalized groups more so, and also helping make sure that we are able to bring those people in to Northwestern Mutual. I am part of our Top Talent Foundation, so I work closely with a lot of leaders and a lot of my counterparts in order to make our group called Technology Customer Success a great destination for people to work and to grow their careers. And as part of the Pride ERG, we work closely to share people's stories and to help give people more opportunities and make them feel comfortable being themselves and have the ability to really bring their whole selves to work. So it was a goal I had out there to get more involved in that and to help others more. And it's been a very learning opportunity for me as well.
Oh, thank you, Susie, for being a D&I champion. Sorry.
Just to add to that, I'm sorry, Sangeeta, but I just do have to say that the hit of our past summit was the Northwestern Mutual Latinas in Tech t-shirt, or Latinas Unstoppable t-shirt that Northwestern Mutual had. All of the high techers at Northwestern Mutual showed up at the summit with their t-shirt, and it was the buzz of the summit on all of the chats. So I do agree that Northwestern Mutual is leading the charge there. And you can tell by the people who work there how passionate they are and how invested they are. So thank you.
Yeah, great point. And thank you. And thank you, Susie, for being a D&I champion and sharing your voice and helping others share theirs as well. So, as we are on this D&I journey, I understand that it's not easy, right? As much as you would like to act, you're stopped by some persisting piping doubts. Where do I start? And even if it's something I do, will it really matter? Let's look at inspiration in the humble honeybee. They show us that thinking small may be the best way to think big. Marianne Guy, who lives in Canada, is a beekeeper. Watch her TED Talk if you can. It's Marianne Guy. So the lifespan of a bee ranges from 6 weeks in the summer to 20 weeks in the winter. So most of her brief existence is spent gathering nectar to make honey. Now, a bee in her lifetime only makes 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey, a tiny fraction of the hundreds of pounds of honey that a typical colony needs to survive. And the most remarkable thing is that she doesn't even do it for herself. A bee won't actually benefit from the honey that she makes. Instead, it will allow future generations to thrive after she is gone. This too is how we can change the world, by not worrying about the size of our contributions and by letting our efforts join the actions of others. So, as I close this, there is no right time. There is only right now. So own your privilege. With great power comes great responsibility. Do some soul searching, understand why this is important to you. Seize the moment, my friends, and then find the hope in what holds you back. You have to stop waiting for the right time and start your 1/12 of a teaspoon count, because you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Thank you. And it was a pleasure speaking with you all here. We have a networking event right after this, so please stick around. Back to you, Viviana.
Thank you, Sangeeta. That was amazing. And honestly, if you guys weren't like writing down every single thing that she was saying, like we recorded this so you can watch it again, so you can continue getting those golden nuggets. So I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank Northwestern Mutual for this family for joining us today and for participating. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. If you want to learn more about Northwestern Mutual, there'll be a link that we posted in the chat. So please go ahead. But also, if you want to stick around for our networking afterward, we'll be here for another 15-20 minutes to continue chatting. Please do. But if not, enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We appreciate you. Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, gracias también.